Michael Nagy here with Jiggy Jag TV and discoveringbands.com. And for everyone watching, share this video on my channel and help support the awesome bands I feature. And today I'm here with Unhappily Ever Now. How you guys doing?
Hey Michael, doing good.
All right.
It's great to have you. And you want to start off and give us a little history about the band, tell us how the band started off for everyone?
All right, well, I guess this will be mostly me here. So I'll try to keep it short for you guys, but I'm essentially a musician, became an English major who wound up in finance. Since I was living the corporate life, I was, since a child, a lifelong fan of Green Jello. Happened to have an opportunity to contribute a submission to their newest album. Got accepted, and that just kind of put that spark back into me. So I had a bunch of demos and stuff throughout my adulthood, and I just started writing for myself again, and kind of started a social commentary with a lot of stuff going on around us in the world past several years. And then, unfortunately, it kind of became more personal for me. But so that was around February 2020 is when I really started writing the tracks. This was just really me. It was like branching out from that experience with Green Jello into having really like my own solo project that was just me doing everything essentially until later on for recording. I had Dan Milligan actually at the Joy Thieves here who did the drums for me. But that's really where it started. It's just for me, I was able as a fan to contribute to that Green Jello album, and it just brought that spark back to me as like a lifelong musician, and I just kind of got stuck in that corporate world. Fortunately, as part of all the process, I had a lot of things happen to me at a personal level. I won't really get into everything right now for everyone, but yeah, a lot of the inspiration for the band is actually coming from favorite show of mine, 12 Monkeys, and it's also just informed by social experiences around us and some of my own personal experiences. And as I kind of got deeper into the band development, it's just it really became heavily informed by a lot of different themes and inspirations. That just everything kind of came together into one thing. And the band name wasn't really officially Unhappily Ever Now until I would say June of 2020. I started really writing like my first track after that Green Jello experience, I'd say like January, February 2020, and then it just started flowing from there. But long story short, fast forward through some personal stuff. Maria here was actually able to contribute to the tracks I was writing at the time later that year. So she's essentially been part of it ever since then, even though it's my baby, it's my project, but she's become a really important part of this process for me, having somebody new in my life with as much music experience as she has as well, and just kind of be able to collaborate, bounce ideas off each other really well, I feel. So kind of a long-winded answer, I guess, but but it really started for me coming out of that experience. Social commentary became a little more personal. It all sparked by that experience with having music come back into my life with writing with Green Jello. So.
And the band name, how did you guys come up with that for a name?
That's also all me. And I would say if anyone wants like a really full in-depth breakdown of this stuff, like the bio on unhappilyevernow.com, EPK, about section, I kind of get into the full story. But essentially, the final scene of Show 12 Monkeys, it kind of touches on the sense of now, like living in the now, in the moment, and it reflects on that a little bit. I won't spoil it. Everyone's going to read it, but it's just essentially just commenting on that concept of looking at the right now, this moment right now, that society as a whole. Now, this is actually a deviation from the show, which is commenting more on like happily ever now, like me to be able to come back to this moment and actually continue living together. So that's the social commentary part. It's like kind of feel like looking at society and personal relationships and things like that we've kind of found ourselves struggling to coexist, struggling to cooperate with each other, and instead of having things be happy, we're all kind of like society's kind of stuck right now. I think people find themselves just struggling to survive, losing our place in time with each other. And so I touch on those kind of themes in the music, and also just a sense of not having a chance to say goodbye, losing our place in time, sense of loss. But it's not just that. It's also about like, what can we do to make our way through that? So I think overall, for me, it has become this sense of reflecting on what I see in society, what I see in our personal experiences with each other, on a relationship level, with colleagues, coworkers, partners, spouses. Losing people, losing that connection with people, but really, like, what are we doing with that? So it has kind of like you can almost look at it like a negative twist in a way on the 12 Monkeys themes, but it does come back heavily into the sense of like, now 12 Monkeys being time travel related. It kind of meshes really well, the sense of looking back on our past and wondering what if, or what could have gone differently, what should have gone differently, but what are we doing about it in this moment right now to move forward? So it's kind of complicated. It's complex, the vision I kind of came up with there, but everything came together at the same time. The influence of that show in my life, society around me, what I was personally going through in many ways, and it just came to a head that way with just kind of being the twist on the last line in the show, actually. So
now I see you have a lot coming up this year that you're doing, so tell us about that. New single, remixes, a bunch of stuff, right?
Hopefully, yes. So I know for sure, definitely we have 4 remixes locked in, and actually I just already submitted them for distribution this past weekend. So a little bit of the behind-the-scenes business aspect to take care of, but 4 remixes definitely set. 2 of them are actually by the Joy Thieves. That's a random shirt again. Having worked with Dan Milligan and James Scott heavily throughout the first EP process, felt like a natural progression, and I love their work. So looking forward to hearing those. And also, we were able to collaborate with Assemblage 23, Tom Shear, for 3rd remix. And 4th remix, actually, Rhea's former bandmates, Oots Oots. And I mean, I can let Rhea speak to that for a moment about her experience with them, just to give some background there.
Sure. Nikki and I go way back into the goth industrial scene from New York City in the early 2000s, before life happened and I kind of just moved out of the area and moved, different aspects of our lives. But I've kept in touch with him over the years, and we had the second track off the debut EP was a duet him and I ended up working on together. So I reached out to Nikki, because I like the stuff he's been doing with Oots Oots and even some of his solo work, and I was like, what do you think about doing a remix for this? And he did an awesome job. I'm really excited for you guys to hear of it. I think that the magic of collaborating with him is still there from still living on the Wayside. And him having kind of, I think, a rock and metal background from way back in the day just really helped him capture kind of the vibe of our music, going more into the rock realm, but bringing electronic elements to it. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, and I would say, honestly, moving forward with the new single, that we've actually co-wrote that one together as well. I feel like things are finally kind of heading more into the industrial rock sound that has honestly been my influence my whole life. So I think I was partly inspired by the remixes. I think people will definitely hear, these are, I hate to call them remixes because they're really good re-envisionings of 3 of the songs off of the debut EP, and really take them down that more electronic, or at least industrial rock sound that has, always been part of me. It didn't really come through as much on the debut EP, but this new single and the 4 remixes all really mesh well together. I don't write normal, I would say. I have very much the Tool, Perfect Circle, and Stabbing Westward sound influences in how I write. So I feel like, in a weird way, I'm going to be continuing this path of industrial rock that is not written in 4/4, but it works. And I think you guys are going to hear that, especially, I'll give Dan a lot of credit on this. Dan knew my sound, being so heavily involved with the debut EP, and he did his remixes, this re-envisioning of 2 of the tracks in this, different time signatures, 3, 6, and 5, stuff like that. That's not what you would normally hear on a remix, but they sound awesome. And I'm like really grateful for him kind of taking, like, he kind of stuck with my own vision in a sense, but made it his own. And so those 4 tracks are really great. Really excited for them. Wrapping up the new single, it's going to be called Pleading the Haunting of Scars. And we just got to wrap up our vocals, send it off for drums, mixing and mastering. But they flow, those 4 remixes and that new single flow very well together. And some of the other demos I have going on right now, we're going to kind of continue down that sound as well, that path of that sound. A little more of our industrial rock vibe to it. And at this point, and I know this really started as like my baby, my project, because that's where my life was at the time. But with Maria contributing to the song Our Time Was Taken and the debut EP, heading into these remixes, 2 of the remixes are of that song, and they sound great. And this new song is both of us together, and I think we're gonna have a pretty interesting, unique sound. I mean, I feel like we're in this electronic and industrial rock sound moving forward. We're essentially writing as a couple, and we're playing well off of each other, hearing dynamics and melodies and harmonies. And because of my style, just not writing quite like everyone else writes. So I think something special we have going on here, and that it's kind of the path we're headed right now. And really, really excited to get that song wrapped up. Hopefully, have it released sometime later this year. I can say that the 4 remixes are coming out in August, back to back. And yeah, I think they're really great, and I hope everyone enjoys them.
So yeah, Our Time Was Taken seems like it's more of the rock vibes, so you're going to be doing a little more industrial, electronic vibes from here on, you think? I mean, that's an awesome song, though. I really like it. But you said you're going to go a little probably heavier industrial, electronic vibes?
Well, I feel like on this new single, Pleading the Haunting of Scars, like, I mean, I heard the remixes, and I know who my influences are. I mean, predominantly for me, it's really like Stabbing Westward, Tool, anything Billy Howardell, and just knowing like who all their influences were, were growing up as well. Like I can hear my sound in their sound and in their influences sound. So I know with writing that new single, I honestly went into it with a lot. Just different sounds of synth layers. Now, not so much the way you would think. I'm not sure how to describe it, but we're not going into the sound of like Oots Oots or Assemblage 23, or even so much like the Joy Thieves remixes that Dan did, but probably closer electronically sounding to like earlier Stabbing Westward. Like I would say Darkest Age, like for me, is like a heavy influence for me. Always was. And now I'm into their new album, but so I think I feel like I tapped into pieces of that sound where very heavily rock, guitar rock driven, but I wanted to tap into my other influences, and so I have a bit more length, just some sounds, and with Dan's experience in industrial rock, that when he takes care of the drum parts, which hopefully we can get to that soon, that I know his influences, he's going to be able to really pull out those sounds. And when he's been mixing and mastering for us as well. So there's just like more layering of more synth and keyboard sounds in what I'm working on right now. And kind of anxious to hear what Maria can come up with as well. I mean, she's definitely a songwriter herself, just kind of taking the lead in this project at the moment, because I write kind of strange and complex sometimes, and I just kind of get a vision out of my head, and then we kind of come together. But I'm anxious to hear what she can come up with as well. Kind of blend more of our styles moving forward. But it's more so that I'll just say, you know, it's still rock. I'm just definitely adding more synth sounds, tapping into my DAW and, you know, general MIDI keyboards and stuff like that, the soft synths. And like Maria had gotten me a mini Korg, and I was able to realize, hey, I could actually just tap into the synth sounds built into my DAW here and just start trying things out. And yeah, it's allowed me to tap more into this industrial rock sounds that I grew up with, predominantly stabbing western. But yes, I'm into bands like Rammstein, especially the different piano and synth sounds that they bring to the table. Like I love that a lot. I definitely want to incorporate more piano sound, honestly, piano and string sound. And yeah, so you're not going to be getting like a Ministry or Nine Inch Nails vibe from me, I don't think, but more of that Rammstein stabbing westward vibe, I would say.
Awesome.
Yeah, I don't say it's ever going full on like 4 on the floor club, but then that's where the remixes, you know, can bring that into the mix too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, if people want to look you up online, get your music on social media, how do they do that?
Well, predominantly, I'd say the easiest way to go is unhappilyevernow.com. Because so I have it up here side here now. It's probably easier to just go that way with everything, because then I have a link to all the socials right at the top of the page. Now, I mean, if everyone's familiar with Linktree, same username, Linktree/Unhappily Ever Now, and essentially everywhere else. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, even streaming and everything, you're going to just find us pretty easily. Just all one word, Happily Ever Now, and the website's just unhappilyevernow.com. Even on Bandcamp, if you want to check out music and the merch, because that's predominantly where the merch is, it's still going to be on Unhappily Ever Now Bandcamp. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to what you guys have coming up in the future, and it was great having you and talking to you, and everybody look them up.
Thanks, Michael.
All right, thanks, Michael. I appreciate it.